I will start the recording right now. And so finally, before I start, before I hand it over to Sandra, I'm just going to quickly show you the library website, and then we'll get Sandra showing you some of the great things here. So the library website can be found at library.teachers.ab.ca. You could also go to the teachers.ab.ca website and find access to it there. And there's amazing things on the library. And so Sandra and I will bounce back and forth, and I'll jump in when she's presenting, and she can jump in when I'm presenting, and that's sort of how we will we'll bounce back and forth here. But I just want to give you the brief update of this is how you're going to sign out, what it looks like. So you as active or associate members, you pay fees for your association, and part of those fees go to running this library. And what that means is that you can sign out any of the books or any of the kits, any of the resources that Sandra talks about at no cost to you. And so what will happen is you'll come and you will sign something out, and magically it appears either at your home or at your place of work. Right now it's at home because we're in the COVID era, but typically speaking, if you're teaching and we're in a normal classroom situation, it shows up at your school. And then so once it shows up at your school, you bring it from your desk, you bring it from the secretary's desk, and you put it on your back counter, and you continue teaching your students. And we know that what's going to happen is likely 2.5 weeks later, you're going to get an email from Sandra that says, hey, that book that you signed out, it's still due. And you're going to look back and think, I haven't even opened it yet. And that's okay, because you're then going to email Sandra and say, hey, can I have it for an extra week? And she's going to say, yes, of course. And you're going to open it, and you're going to take it open, you're going to rip it open, you're going to read the whole thing, you're going to photocopy no more than 10% of that book, because that's what we do. And then you're going to take this book and you're going to put it back in the same envelope that Sandra sent you. And when you look in that envelope, there's a sticker. You put the sticker back on the front. Sandra has already got the sticker printed for you, and it's prepaid postage back. It has the address, so you literally just take the sticker, put it back on the front of the envelope, put it back wherever your mail gets collected from, and magically it returns back to the association. So really it is it's the most painless and easy library experience you will ever have, because you don't have to set foot in the physical library. Now, I saw that in the chat, some of you are from Edmonton, and if you are in Edmonton and wanted to come visit the library during non-COVID time, you're absolutely welcome to do so. So I'm really excited to share this with you, because there's some really amazing resources that you have access to. But why would you listen to me when we can listen to the master herself? So Adam, you have a question before we keep going?
Yeah, I do, Chris. I just want to say the library itself is amazing. I'm up here in the northern region near Fort McMurray. I wondered if the library has had any issues with their supply chain trying to get things to Fort McMurray schools due to the flood. Just a yes or no. We talk about how if there's any solutions about that later, but I just was curious if you've had any issues with that recently.
Sandra.
Because we've had shut down circulation, we haven't, and the flood has happened since then, because we shut down during COVID. We haven't experienced any problems yet, but as we're starting to open up circulation, that's something to think about, because I hadn't thought about Canada Post having problems delivering up there.
Perfect.
I just tried picking up my mail, and where I pick it up, it's flooded out, and one of the schools apparently in Fort McMurray got hit really, really hard, and so I don't know, I'm not from that division.
Yeah, it would probably be Dr. Clark. It's down in the River Valley there.
So anyway, I just want, like, if you guys do have any solutions or anything, would you maybe just post it on the library for us that are up here, just to let us know what you're doing? Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Adam. That's a really great question. And so, yeah, Sandra, if your team wants to post that on the website once you know how you're going to be getting materials up north, that would be great, because then those who have access to it, if they see the video or whatever else, they can take a look at that for sure.
Okay.
Awesome. So thank you so much for that question, Adam. And I will hand it over to Sandra now. I know that she's got some great things to be showing us here this morning. And I've already taken 10 minutes of her already short time frame. So Sandra, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And thank you so much for attending. This is only my second webinar, so I'm still pretty new at it. And I'm just excited that that Chris asked me to talk to people about the library, because I think that Chris is totally wrong and that he doesn't have the best job at the ATA or in the world. I think I do. I think Chris has the second best job, because when I go and I get to shop for robots and all these really cool things. And then Chris's job gets really good because then I give it to him and say, how does this work? Can you run it by your 9-year-old and tell me? And, and it, you know, and he gets to take it home. But I think I personally have the best job because I get to be on the cutting edge of technology all the time and see what's brand new coming out. So, and also because I get to help teachers find the information they need to be better teachers or to solve a problem that they're having. So that to me is like the best job in the world. So I'm just gonna share my screen and start the presentation. Oop. Okay. There we go. Okay, so the mystery of the ATA library. Now, the ATA library is a mystery for many reasons, as you know. One, a lot of people don't know it exists. Two, people don't know how it works. And three, in a time of COVID, what are we doing? Because what do we do when we're not sending out books? But we are still working. All the library staff are still working really hard for you. So what's going on? So we're going to investigate that in this session. And this is all, of course, very top secret. You've all been given special clearance for this, but you know, you got to know it's top secret, and you know, got to zip those lips because we don't want this getting out. What's happening to the library? Because we are the best kept secret at the ATA, and we're trying to stay that way. We don't want anyone to know, right, that we exist. So you'll see our online presence. We are still posting on our social media, our Facebook and Twitter. We also are still doing research for teachers. So teachers can call me up and say, hey, do you have articles on what parents should be doing to support their kids in remote education so that I can give them some tips that are research-based? Sure, I'll do that. We've got a kid with dyspraxia in our classroom. What do we do to help this kid? Because what is that? And I'll do the research for you. I usually try and get back to you within two to 3 working days, just depending on how many other questions are ahead of you. We will also find you web resources. We will find you books. But we also, during this period of COVID lockdown, we have been working very hard on our web guides, which Chris alluded to before, that we have these great resources. So I'm just going to show you those on another screen. Just be a second while I switch screens. Okay, as Chris showed you, this is the library homepage. Now the blue box, oh, first I'll say up in the top is search the library, which is just to search our library catalog. I was doing a search yesterday for stuff about photography. So I can pull it up, do the search, and everything comes up. It's just nice and simple, just like Google. And if I log in, over on the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the little circle that has a bobblehead in it. That's what I think of it as, a little bobblehead character. You've got log in just using your ATA account. Logging in is what creates your library account for the first time. So you do need to log in to use the library. So we search for photography again. And now what I can do is click here to select the things that I'm interested in. And down, for me, it's at the bottom of the page for, oh, that's not the one I want. Others, it would be a little higher up. There is supposed to be a little blank box, which is not appearing on mine because I have so many choices, that you would be able to send us an email. Chris, could you share your screen? Because I know yours is different than mine.
Yeah, I would love to. You can also hit the plus and go add to cart.
Yeah, but I just wanted to show them the email.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
Right there. Thank you.
So this is what yours will look like. Sandra has more privileges than the rest of us. So if
Sorry about that.
If there was 3 books that you wanted, you could just select those books, and there's this empty blank box that says email request, not to be confused with email. If you send an email, that's tell my friend that this is an interesting book that they should sign out. This email request, when you do that, now the limitations of Zoom don't allow you to see a pop-up screen. But once you click that, a pop-up screen will appear. And in that pop-up screen, yeah, no, Zoom's not, oh yeah, it is. So this is the pop-up screen that's going to appear. You're going to then just type in your name. The ATA is Big Brother, so they know where you work, they know where you live, they know your email address because you signed in with it, all that kind of stuff. So you would just type in your name, and then from there you would hit send, and it would go back to the library, and they would be able to fill that for you.
And you get a copy of this email sent to you as well, so there's confirmation that it went through, so you know in your inbox, so you know for sure that we got it. And when we get the request, in normal times, we usually try and have that sent out to you within the same day. Now, Chris also does a little trick that I thought was very clever. So, Chris, do you want to tell them what you do to keep track of things?
Okay, so my favorite thing is I don't like to visit the library. Well, sorry, Sandra. I don't like to visit the library website on frequent times. I like to visit it when I have a bunch of time. And so typically speaking, what I'll do is I will take a look at things. So when I was a classroom teacher and when I was a principal, I would go into this makerspace area. They never had this guide before, so this is brand new for you. But I'd go to this makerspace area, and I would find these are great books for makerspaces, but in here, these are great kits for makerspaces. So these are things that can come into your classroom at no charge for you. So you want to bring in a 3D doodler pen. If you teach grade 3 science or grade 7 science, your structures and forces unit, this is a fabulous tool to bring into your classroom during that unit, or to see students or have students build something, because basically what happens is it's a pen that when you draw it, it draws it in 3 dimensions. So you can actually create a cube with it. I also used it in a math class when we were doing some nets for the different 3D shapes, and students could draw the nets and literally then fold the plastic and then make those physical cubes as well by just simply drawing them. So this is a tool that I may want. I may want to take a look at these V-Bots because I teach kindergarten grade 1, and these are absolutely amazing for kindergarten grade 1 students to start thinking about sequential thought and sequential following multiple steps of a direction. But there's amazing tools, breakout kits. So these are being used across the province with tons and tons of different teachers using these as hands-on learning activities that they can do. So I would come and I would spend 45 minutes looking through all of these different kits. And I would say, which kits am I interested in? And I'm interested in all of these kits. So I teach grade 5, this electricity and magnetism, or grade 2, this electricity and magnetism, right? And so there's some really great things. This FlexView digital microscope is awesome. It works really well, and it's super simple, plugs into USB on your computer, and then automatically you can now be looking at these things. But what I would do is I would say, what items do I want? And so rather than requesting them right away, if you were to take a look at my library page when I was looking in here, you'll notice I have 25 things in my cart. I always have things in my cart because what I like to do is anything that I would like to read or would like to borrow at some point comes into my cart. And then when I find that I have time, or I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to have some free time over summer, or in the case of my classroom, every second Friday, I would come in and I would just say, okay, I'm gonna request the Circuit Scribe kit today. I don't have to go back and look for anything because I've already done the work. I sat down for one day for 45 minutes and I plugged in all of these cool things into my cart. Rather than selecting them and getting them all at once and being overwhelmed and using none of them, I would come in and once every second Friday, without fail, once every second Friday, I would be ordering one of these kits to bring into my classroom, because then my classroom has a continual flow of new kits coming in and different hands-on makerspace learning activities that can be done with my students. But your cart never expires. So your cart never empties things out until you sign it out. So if you sign it out, then it'll be out of your cart because it's coming to you. But if you don't sign it out, it just stays in your cart. So you have all of these items that you're interested in seeing at some point to take a look at it. So the Ozobot classroom kit, yeah, I have it. One time when I want it, it's going to come in. It's going to come in. It just sits here in my cart until I do it. So that's another way to use your library without having to come back to the site every time and look for more stuff. You can actually just use it where you keep things in your cart and then be able to go from there. Erin added the doodler. I love it.
And so from your cart, you're just clicking that same little box for email request, and that is sending the request to the library. And then from there, me and my staff go through and pull up, like send out whatever it is that you're requesting.
Yep. So just
go ahead.
On that, on these questions here, Sandra, if that's okay. How do I sign it out once it's there? This is exciting. I get so excited about this. I come and do workshops with teachers in classrooms, and they make fun of me with how excited I get because I'll bring in all these kits and I'll show how I use them in my classroom and things like that. But I get excited because there's amazing things. And to sign it out, it's as simple as clicking the check mark and then clicking the empty box. And when you click the empty box, it'll hit email request, and that little form will be a pop-up. But one thing you need to know, because every time I do a workshop, and I usually do workshops and they'll have anywhere between 40 and 60 people in them. And literally every time I did it during convention season, within 2 days after, somebody emailed me and said, Chris, I'm not getting that little box. How do I get it? And the answer is you have to make sure you've signed in. If you haven't signed in, and that's that top right corner, you'll see where it says log out, Chris. That's how I know I'm signed in. If you can't figure out how to sign it out, ask yourself, have I signed in yet? Because if you haven't signed in, then it'll look the same, but you just won't get this little box to be able to sign things out. And that's where it gets really frustrating for people. So just make sure you've signed in. And once you've signed in, you'll be able to log out. You'll be able to sign things out. You're signed in.
You have to allow pop-ups, Chris, too.
Oh, yes, you have to. Oh, and that's the other thing that I'll share with you. The system, we find that it doesn't work as well on an iPhone or on a mobile device because of the pop-ups and the flash that's running in the background. And so we had found that there was a few teachers struggling to sign stuff out when they were using Safari on their iPhone. As soon as they went over to their laptop, no problem at all, right? So just some little things to keep in mind as you're trying to sign some things out. But the kits that are here, if you start taking a look at those kits, I'm warning you, you're gonna need to get some popcorn, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you have a little show going on, because you will get lost in the kits and you'll get lost in the library for at least an hour. And it's a really great date night activity if you're looking for a date night activity to have when on a rainy day like today. Sorry,
and
Sam.
it's way better than getting lost in Google, because you're actually getting lost in good things, like relevant things that you are interested in.
So true, so true.
And you can request just about anything we have. Everything goes out for 4 weeks. If no other teacher has requested it, then we're happy to renew it. When your time is up, just drop us a line at library@ata.ab.ca, and we'll happily renew it. Or we'll let you know if another teacher's requested it. Then return it to us, but let us know you'd like it back. And as soon as that other teacher's done, we'll have it reserved for you, so it comes right back out to you.
Sandra, Adam has a question here. Adam?
Yeah, just really quickly, what happens when, let's say I got a whole bunch of items in my cart and then I do the email? Does it come out of my cart?
Yes.
And I have to do it all over again?
So if you have an item in your cart, anything that you put the check mark beside and then email the request, it will come out of your cart because it's going to be coming to you. So we wouldn't keep it in your cart any longer.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, so, again, like Chris said, we mail it out to you and we prepay the shipping back. So there's no cost for using our library. And that goes for anything that you find on our website. It's all free to use. Just going to switch to the screen again. Share screen. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the main library page because that was how to use the catalog and request things. But over here, I wanted to point out our library guides. This is what we have been working on a lot since the COVID shutdown, to continually add to these resources for you. So the first one is ATA library guides, and you'll notice under it, it says for teachers. So these are teaching resources, things to help you with your professional development. We also have subject guides, curriculum materials, things you could use in your classroom with your students. We have guides in French. We have kind of other topics which are not curricular, but things that you could use for teaching curriculum, things like information about bees or information about ocean science. And then the seasonal guides include everything from Halloween to Rivers to Ocean Week to Canadian Women's Month. So there's tons of different resources in there. I just want to first go into the guide for teachers. And you'll see they're broken into all sorts of topics here. And we add the topics based on questions that you ask, and kind of when we find out that you're interested in a certain area. For instance, I hadn't really thought beyond curriculum of the basic core, and I had someone ask me about food science, and did I have any journals on food science, which at the time I did not. So, but I don't like anybody walking away empty-handed. And actually this teacher had said, I've never used the library because I assume you have nothing. Ugh. So, I mean, stab me in the heart. So of course, I don't say I have nothing. I built her a website. This web guide was for her. And how I started it was because she first asked about journals. I went and found free online journals about food science for her. And you can just access them by clicking and you go right in. And these are, most of them are peer reviewed, and I'll put a note there saying it is peer reviewed. And the peer review means that it's the same quality you had at university, that it's being reviewed by, like it's written by professors and it's being reviewed by other professors, so that it's good quality information and research. So it's you're able to trust it. And then I added the rest of this. I added things about food security and insecurity. I added recipe search engines, which are, when you're looking for recipes, you can use Google, but sometimes you want to use better stuff than Google. And things like Yumly and Supercook allow you to search and limit your search based on food aversions, or having, like if you're diabetic, you can just find appropriate recipes that way. Or if you're, you can only eat halal food, all that sort of stuff. It narrows it down so beautifully. The first time I saw Yumly and Supercook, I'd never seen, they were brand new at the time and no one else was doing that sort of search. And it just like, why hasn't everybody else been doing that? That makes so much sense when you're searching for recipes. And at the beginning, on the first page, when I have the guides for teachers, there's always books from our library. These particular books, how they were chosen was the teacher who had asked me about having food science resources. I didn't have much. I had a few things in the library, but I talked to her and I said, like, what books are you looking for? What things would you love to have? And she sent me a list of, these are her dream resources. These are the ones she would love to have. And it was about 20, 30 different books. And I said, okay, we'll order them in. Because that's how hard it is to talk to me, to get me to buy things, is, can we have it? And I say, yes, pretty much, unless there's something like it's 30 years old, then I'm kind of like, well, maybe we could find something newer. So anyway, so we ordered all these books in. When you click on the book or the book title, it will take you right into the catalog where you can request that item. So, and we change the featured books periodically. So these are the featured books just on food science. If I go back, oops. Oh, it's going to take me all the way. And I look at another guide, like financial literacy, Well, then I have books that are related to financial literacy. So, and you see all the tabs now also change to sort out things that we have under financial literacy. So that is really how hard it is to convince me to buy something. As Aaron Ball knows, he asked me something about photography. So he and I are talking about what we could buy that would help with his photography projects. So, and how we build this, like Forest School is kind of a newer one from last year. A new idea of having kids be outside all the time. A lot of it is for younger kids, but there's increasingly things for high school as well, of just getting kids outside because it is better for them, it's healthier, they still learn, there's activities you can do, all sorts of different activities. And so I link to all that. And as that area starts expanding, we'll start linking to more resources. And so this is a lot of what we do. So this is the teacher resources, but I also wanted you to see, like, the subject resources, the curriculum is a little bit different. We don't list books because we carry books for your professional development. We don't carry curriculum books. And so say if you're teaching English language arts grade 12, well, we have things here you could use, like some resources on Shakespeare. And we have some things for reading, so some of the curriculum in high school. There's film study resources. So all sorts of things you can use with your classes. And if you go onto the main page, like the first page of it, there's the citation tools, but also if there's a related guide, then I put it in here. So this one is we actually have a guide just of Shakespeare stuff. So then it would also show you like the whole collection of Shakespeare resources that we have there. So it all kind of works seamlessly together. And we are constantly expanding this based on what we hear from teachers of, oh, we need more resources on this, or why don't you have this? Well, I don't know why we don't have that. I will find out and I will build it for you. And Chris is grinning now, I see, because he has actually done that to me. He said, Sandra, why don't we have a Cricut in the library? And I went, good point. I'll order 2. And we did. And now we have Cricuts that teachers can borrow. And Cricuts are machines that cut paper, but they can also cut vinyl. And you can make really beautiful murals and things for your classroom. Or you could have kids doing design work and making cards or making 3 things out of paper that are 3-dimensional. It's amazing little tool.
The Cricuts are a really fun tool because if you have an iPad in your classroom, the ones that the association has purchased, connect through Bluetooth to your iPad. So you can have it in the back corner of your classroom plugged in with the iPad next to it. And whatever a student draws on the Cricut, on the actual platform that they open the app and they draw on the Cricut app, whatever they draw, they can then press print. And it doesn't print it. It just takes the cardstock that you already have in your classroom and it cuts exactly that out. So if you're looking at a makerspace, or if you've got a back area where, I mean, in my classroom, we had a back building area every month, where this month we were building an amusement park, and students just needed to get the cotton candy sign. They could find a cotton candy sign, press print, and it cuts it out of whatever color paper they put in there. So it's got some really neat things. If you're looking at having time over the summer and you want to build all of your bulletin board letters that you would ever need in a lifetime, that Cricut can do that very, very quickly in all sorts of different types of fonts. And you literally, all you need from your school is you just grab a couple of sheets of the
cardstock
paper, and you design it on an iPad or on your phone or on the computer, press print, and it's going to print all of these things. So it's really great things. Yeah, Aaron, you're absolutely correct. Posting student sayings to classroom walls. There's so many great uses for it. And so I had asked Sandra I don't know, would have been maybe last March or April, and said, well,
yep,
we have one. And she said, nope, but we will soon. And she just went, so it's really neat, the options that you have here.
Yep. So Chris can see I'm a difficult person to work with and a monster of a librarian. But we want to make the library as useful to you as possible. I'm just going to scroll down a bit on my screen and show you that there's featured guides. So I featured this one because Chris asked me to. He said, I don't want to have to search down for it. And that's going to be frequently used because I'm teaching all the teachers about Makerspace. So can you put it on the front page? And I went, sure, why not? Because that's the way I roll. We also link to Indigenous education resources, the gamification ones, because that's a pretty hot topic, and also over to the PD guides. I'm just going to show you over to Indigenous education because this one works a little bit differently than some of the other ones. Oh, pop me into a second one here. So here, you'll see the picture of stones, and then there's a number of different titles under it. And that is because we have so many different pages that I wanted them to all be united so that you could see in total, you don't just come into one page on the Indigenous people of Alberta and think that's all we have. So we have Indigenous histories in Canada. When you come over here, you see some of the books we have on that. And you also see like there's Inuit history. And resources there. So, and again, we've been adding to this a lot, especially because it is such a hot topic, more and more resources are becoming available. And so I'm always keeping an eye out. There's things on lacrosse, which is one of the national game of Canada, and it's also, an Indigenous game. So we've got the history on it. We have how it relates with math and reading, so how you can boost those skills, doing a lot of different things. So, and then we also have foundational knowledge for Indigenous education, which is again specifically for educators. And so a lot of what is here is like, okay, well, what are some great resources for Aboriginal math and how you can infuse math or your math curriculum with Indigenous perspectives. Mathematics through Aboriginal storytelling, like awesome. Same thing for some literature, things you should know about Aboriginal oral traditions. So we have just like tons of useful resources here. There's even one on elder protocol. The U of A made this. It's awesome. If you want to invite an elder into your classroom, what is the correct way to go about doing that? Because we don't know. It's not but how do you approach them in a proper, respectful manner to get them into the classroom? And what should you expect about that? So some really awesome resources. And the whole point of this is to save your time so that you guys don't have to constantly be searching Google looking for this stuff. I've gone and checked over all these websites. Me and my staff, we go over and we check, are they good, reliable, accurate sources of information? Because we're librarians and, that's what we live for, is we don't want to link to junk. We want to link to really good stuff. So you can trust the links that you find there. And if you ever see a link that has been obviously taken over by another site, just let us know. We'll get rid of it. We'll find something else to put there. And if we don't have a topic that you're interested in, or we don't have enough of something, let us know, because that's how we build it, right? Food science came because I was asked about food science. Financial literacy came the same way. Someone's asked me said, I'm going to be teaching financial literacy. I know nothing about it. What do you got? And so I went, okay, I will build you stuff about financial literacy. And we built it right away. We brought in the books right away. And that teacher then had a much more successful year. Okay. So, and I'm just going to go back to my presentation screen. Just be a moment here. So now I'm going to tell you something here. Now this is eyes only. This is beyond top secret. This message will destruct in 30 seconds if you choose to accept this mission. That's the kind of level of secrecy we're talking about, is the movement of library materials during this period of lockdown. Now, Nobody's around, right? It's just you and me. Okay. We are starting to circulate the materials, even during lockdown. Some of the staff were sneaking into the building and we're pulling the books, putting them in envelopes, and mailing them to you. Even the kits. We're sneaking them out of the building. And we're doing this. We're just starting this, so we haven't made a broad, big announcement of it yet, because we're kind of seeing how how this works with us only going in a couple of days a week, 1 or 2 days a week. And so we're not wanting to get hugely overwhelmed, but we do want teachers, at least the good teachers who come to the webinars, to know that we will circulate things for you. So if you go to the makerspace right now and you see a bunch of things you want and you request it, you could get them. They could actually go out to you. Now, and one thing I meant to mention earlier when we were talking about the makerspace stuff, a lot of times people want me to send it out for a specific date, or for, like, I'm teaching this unit for 2 weeks in December. I can't do that because teachers don't always return things on time. I know this is shocking. I know you weren't expecting it, but they don't. Sometimes things are late, and so I can't guarantee that we're going to have something. So the way that we have to give teachers materials is on a first come, first served basis. So if it's available, we send it out. If it's not, we put you on the reserve list and we give you an estimation of how long we think it will be before it comes out to you. Because we have a good idea that if there's 2 teachers ahead of you on the reserve list, then it's probably going to be close to 3 months. But once the wait list gets to 3 months, I do everything I can to bring in another copy so that it never goes beyond that. You always will have it within that period, because I will bring in more so that the wait list never gets beyond 3 months. Because my first year we were doing the makerspace, it was so popular and we had 18-month waiting lists. Well, that's ridiculous. What teacher can plan that far ahead? Like, I know you guys are planners and you're good at it, but 18 months. So, and so we've made the commitment of always trying to keep the lists as short as possible.
So Sandra, again, mailed out through Canada Post, is that correct?
Yes, we
So
mail.
typical mailing time for a rural school?
Probably 4 days.
Okay.
So, and you just drop it in the mail to us the day it's due. We don't charge overdue fees, which is maybe why teachers don't always return things to me on time. Gonna have to rethink that. But yeah, we don't charge overdue fees because these are literally books and robots that you bought with your money going to the association. They actually give me some money. It's awesome. So we're not going to charge you overdue fees, but we do want you to return things, especially when we tell you there's another teacher waiting, because that's respectful, that another teacher is desperately wanting to try it out with her classroom or his classroom. And so if you return it on time, then they get to try it. And then more and more teachers get to try. And although at first we weren't ever carrying classroom kits, simply because of the expense, we've had a number of them donated to us by ATLE, the Alberta Alberta Technology Leaders in Education group. They've donated quite a bit of materials to us, including class kits. So you can actually try them out with a full class, or you can just bring in one and try it out, like say as a workstation that the kids are rotating through as they're doing other things in your class.
I'm going to just share my screen here for a quick second.
Sure.
Because what I want to do is I want to just show quickly teachers what they can take a look at. So if you're looking, again, I'm going to go back to this makerspace because it's one of the easiest ones to be able to show you. So I click on the makerspace and I'm going to show you the breakout box, because we do hear that quite a bit. Well, how do I know when it's going to come in, or how do I know if it's even available to come in? And again, as Sandra said, we've got so many teachers in the province signing these things out. We can't guarantee a date they come in. So one of the things that I tell teachers is think of this as your trial. Think of this as these are tools that I'm bringing into my classroom to be able to show how amazing they are. And if you bring them into your classroom and you're like, this is amazing, I need to have it full time, then you need to start calling your administrator in and be like, hey, look at the learning that's happening with these tools. Our school could be using a set of these, and then you propose it that way. But if I take a look at this Breakout kit, I'm going to show you something when you take a look at the actual kit itself. So when I click in here, and I want to see what it's all about, when I click on the Make BIOS, this is a Breakout kit, it tells me all of this great information. But down here, it tells me the items. So we can see right now that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Breakout kits in circulation. And so that gives you an idea. These are really, really popular. You can also see when they were borrowed and when they are due, right? So this gives you also another indication of if all of these boxes are filled, it means you're going to be on a waiting list of some sort because they are currently out, right? But it gives you an indication when you know that we've got one coming back June 4th, we've got one coming back May 19th. Now these due dates coming back right now because of COVID, they may be a little bit skewed, but it does give you an indication of, is there something available? Do I have access to it? What is that going to look like? So that's an option for you as well to take a look at when you're looking through some of those pieces. When you come into the thing, you can see how many of that item we have and if they're out or in, and that gives you an indication. Now, know that this website is updated as things go out, but there may be a day behind on those things, depending, especially in this time when we're only going in, is it once a week right now to track?
Yeah.
But the other thing is this, you guys do, like, you literally have the best opportunity right now that you will ever have because very few people know that the library is open for circulation. It hasn't been publicly advertised yet. So we did a session 2 weeks ago and there's about 40 people in that session. And we did let them know that it was going to be open for circulation. And then this is the next group that's been told, but it hasn't been made public. We haven't put it on our social media feeds yet. So truthfully, if you're looking at playing with some of the library stuff and getting an idea of what those items are, you are best off to be looking quite literally like this evening or this week to say, what are some things? And I know you're not going back to school right now. And I know you don't have kids right now, but I mean, for me, I've got a 7 and a 9-year-old, so I've got lots of stuff that I get to try out and test out how I can use. But what better time than to just play with 1 or 2 items and dream, right? The library's job is to provide you with items, but your job as a professional, you've gone through the training and the education to start dreaming and thinking, how could I creatively attach this to my curriculum to create hands-on, meaningful experiences for my students? That's where the professionalism comes into your role here. So super excited about that. Sanjay, I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to let people know. Sorry, Aaron asked a question. With the Breakout box, you won't get the paid Breakout EGU games, but there are free ones available. Yes, so if you take a look in that same area, Sandra has a list of 5 or 6 different sites that'll have free games as well, and you can search for free games as well, or you can create some of your own. So I created some of my own. When I come and do workshops in schools, I created my own little Breakout experience to try to give people an understanding of what that looks like. But there are a lot of free ones there for sure, yes. And so you're right, Aaron, the paid ones aren't included in the kit because the way the license transfer doesn't work as easily. But there are lots and lots of the free games that are available there. We are over time already. I don't know how this time flies so fast. Sandra and I are going to hang back here for at least the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. So if you have any other questions, I am going to stop the recording here right away. But if you have to go, we completely understand because you've got students to teach and things to do. But if you've got any questions or want to hang out and for us to show you anything,